Hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is November 24th. It is Black Friday. Hope everybody is doing well out there. And remember, over here at Simpler Trading, we still have our sale going for Black Friday. Today would be the day to get it. So BFS 23, if you guys want to come down here, we've got all sorts of stuff. We got all of our other traders. We got me down there. We got something. If you want it, we have it for you. And then I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving yesterday. I'm looking forward to the leftovers because yesterday's meal was absolutely delicious, and I hope you guys are enjoying as well. So let's kind of dive into it. The market has been pretty snoozy, and which makes sense. It's it's a holiday weekend, and the market has been up, but I'm still kind of expecting a pullback at some point. We'll see. So far, it seems that the market has decided to play nice this holiday week, and we are getting some dojis right there. So yeah, it's kind of like hasn't really done much. In fact, if you look at these, they are identical. So the market, as I said, played nice. Didn't want to do anything today, but I would imagine sometime next week we should probably get a pullback. I'm just kind of thinking, okay, we need something, and we'll have to see when that actually starts to show up. And let's see if they decide to play nice over this holiday weekend and then start something next week. So we're just kind of doing that. You can see here on the 15-minute time frame, the Moxie indicator has been below zero for quite some time. It's just kind of going sideways, burning off of that upward energy, and as I said, just kind of looking for a pullback. This is up here. It's definitely up there. So overall, though, if we look at the internals a bit, there is something to note. Again, I kind of talked about this before. This is super high, okay? This is the number of stocks over their 20-day SMA. This is fantastic. We love seeing this, but at some point, too many stocks are up, and we're going to start seeing things go the other way as far as a pullback. Now, I would love to think that this is going to be a buy the dip kind of pullback, but we will have to wait and see. But that thing is super high up there. I mean, you just look, every time it gets up there, we start to, everything's just pegged too far up to the wall, and we're going to probably see some sort of pullback. We need, we need an opportunity, basically. It is not a great place to go initiate long positions up where the market is right now. So that is what I'm looking at. Over here, not too much to say either. We've been seeing a good, strong market. Happy about that, but nothing else that we can really see as far as transitions or change of direction. So if we kind of take that and we look around at some of the other places, we look at the semiconductors. They've had their little peak. Let me kind of bring this over here. You can see that they had their peak. I think that was around NVIDIA earnings, so right around there, and then it pulled back. So this is fairly good. This is a nice kind of flag type situation. We could see something like that from the broader market. I'd be happy with that. But just the fact that it comes down and then it needs to find some support, I'd be okay with there too. And you can see it's starting to come back in from being overbought and extended and start to come back into these moving averages. So something to this extent, even if it starts to break the hourly 50, that would be fine for a while. But yeah, we'll have to see it like buy the dip situation. So the semis are also showing that they're a little overbought. Speaking of NVIDIA, let's kind of take a look at that. And it was right on earnings. But that aside, in this case, the technicals and earnings both worked out, because I would say that even if I didn't know that this was earnings, I'd look at this and say, this makes total sense. This is everything it was supposed to do. It got really overbought, pulled away from the moving averages, and now we're starting to come back down like this. And you can see that it did it basically when it broke the hourly 50. So this all makes total sense, right around the $500 mark, all that. And just start to see some pullbacks. So this is what we want to see from individual names. We want to see this from the market as a whole, and we just need to see if at some point these come into support and then start to move back up. Other names kind of along this line, Palantir, and if we actually look at Palantir on the higher time frame in through here, I was just talking about this in our simpler trading rooms. So we look at this, if I could draw a straight line kind of like that, you can see that it came right up into here into some previous resistance, price congestion. So I think this also makes sense that it pulled back a little bit. If we zoom in on this, another thing that we could look at is it just got a little too far away from the moving averages, so it kind of needs to come back. The bigger picture, though, is this thing looks fantastic on the monthly time frame. So it came up, it held solid. Now it should be running into this moving average, and we should continue to move up. You just need to find your particular areas. If we kind of look down here, same thing, like I said, with NVIDIA and some of these other names, they just got a little overbought, and these should be nice pullbacks into some support. We'll have to figure out when that is, when that support actually happens. But basically, I like the idea that these are coming down into areas that we can start buying the dips. If we look at some of the bigger names like Apple, we can also see these things need to start coming down. And if Apple is coming down, well, the market's going to start coming down too. But you can see this was a heck of a move. It's just getting too much, too extended. It's pulling away from the moving averages, and we just need to see these things kind of cool off a bit, come down, find some support, and then we'll see if they can resume to the upside. So I think this is an area where if we're just patient, we can kind of watch these waves go back and forth, and this is an area where we just wait for the dips to start showing up. Let's take a look at something like Amazon. Amazon was doing a bit more of a flag as opposed to a pullback. I guess you could say it had a couple pullbacks here, but from a greater standpoint, it mostly looks like it's kind of fixing its overbought condition with time versus price. As I said, with the semis, that's another direction that it could go. So whether it's like Palantir where it comes down or Amazon where it goes sideways, something like that just kind of needs to burn off its overbought conditions before it heads into hopefully the next stronger move to the upside. We got some other things. We were talking about Oxy, and with this ticker, I wanted to show you. Actually, let me open up on the higher time frame in through here. Let's get this, and we'll do the daily and hourly to give me a little bit more room to look at this. So we go look at OXY, and what I wanted to show is that just because there is a setup, and it might be a bullish setup, just because you can have a particular setup that says, yes, let's go, let's be bullish, and then it can roll over later. And kind of my point for talking about this and saying this is that we need to understand the greater context of whatever kind of trade you're looking at. And just because on one time frame or somewhere else you see a bullish setup, it doesn't mean that it has to work forever. It can maybe work for that moment, and then really it wants to go over because the greater chart was saying, hey, we're actually at a double top and we don't want to go higher. So if you ever see something like this, that is a perfect bullish setup on that time frame, and it did work for a little bit. But then if it starts to roll over, you can't be surprised because really the stock or the market was trying to tell you, look, from a larger time frame perspective, we really didn't actually want to go up. So you can have a bullish setup in an overall bearish chart. And that's kind of where I think the challenges of some of stock trading kind of comes in, is because you're like, oh, what's happening here? I thought this was bullish. Well, no, it was a bounce in what became a downtrend. And a bounce will have a bullish setup, well, because it's a bounce. A bounce goes up. Same thing, you could have bearish setups in a bullish chart. Same kind of stuff like that. So just kind of make sure you understand the greater context. And if you get into something like this and it turns on you, that's why you have your stops, or you have your understanding that, okay, what do I need to do to get out? You have to understand that the market is a fluid place and you have to kind of go with it. Speaking of that, I wanted to show you this. How about this one? That, again, here's a bullish move in a downtrend, but this was an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. And so that was another kind of something that you need to be aware of as far as your context goes. Now, let's look over here. Let me show you Bitcoin. So GBTC, I'm amazed. I'm actually very, very surprised that this thing just keeps pushing. This is another way where I actually thought we were going to get more of a pullback. I thought this thing was going to come down a little bit more, but apparently Bitcoin is strong out there. And so what it did is, yes, it was overbought here. And what did it do? It had one little dip kind of to fix that gap. And then what did it do? It basically flagged sideways into support and came back up. And you could see the moment right there was when price decided to move back up. And you can see here how it bounced off of the hourly 50 and up it went, up to new highs. So because of that, I was kind of looking around. Again, I thought this thing was going to pull back. And so when I was looking at Bitcoin miners like Mara, I was like, I don't know. Maybe this thing's going to pull back a little bit. Let me kind of clean that up a bit. Let me come over here. A little bit bigger view. Sorry, Mara. Yeah, a little bit bigger of a view. And we could see that there was a bit of a transition in through here. Here's the 8 crossing over the 21, price getting past the 50. Here's the 50 over the 200. And you can see here it was starting to hold, and right there it is breaking out. So if these names start to move, they look like they are breaking out. They found support. They're going up, and they're doing it. But unfortunately, Mara seems to be the best. And then if you look at Riot, kind of the next best, that one actually looks pretty decent as it came down and bounced off the daily 50. But then we have something like HUT, kind of not really getting it done. It might be a double bottom, but it is definitely a laggard. We have HIVE, also really not doing much. So, and then we have CleanSpark, CLSK, and that one is doing well, but you can see it also had a double bottom. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, which is why I was having some troubles with the Bitcoin miners. But I thought since these things are moving, I should bring it to your attention. You guys can kind of make your own decision what you want to do about that. But there is kind of some renewed energy in them, and they're perking up. I would have loved to have seen a pullback, but really all they did is flag, and now they're kind of moving up. So it does seem like there's quite some energy coming into it. All right, guys. Well, be careful on Monday. They might decide to drop it then, since the holiday week was kind of a nice hang tight and kind of bullish pattern. Anyway, you all enjoy. Remember, we have that Black Friday sale over here at simplytrading.com. And you guys enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week. Take care.